Hello, book readers. Welcome to BrailleDash Reads. If you are new to this channel, well then welcome. Grab a cup of coffee or tea and join me on this reading journey. One thing you should know is that every book I review on this channel does have an accessible format. So if you're somebody who has a print disability, whether that is visual impairment, blindness, physical disability, or even dyslexia, there is a free online library, if you qualify, on a couple of different services I use. You have BookShare, or you also have NLS BARD. Okay, so in this book review, we are doing 1408 by Stephen King. Yes, that is the movie cover. Sorry, bear with me. 1408 is a short story. It was a part of a collection of short stories by Stephen King in a book called Everything's Eventual. But I wanted to give 1408 its own movie cover, or book cover, sorry. I'll try my best not to compare the book to the movie. I am a little biased though. I did watch the movie as a child and I loved it. It was my first horror movie. I know a lot of people don't consider it a horror. Some people do, 50-50. Since I'm already on the topic of the movie, to get it out of the way, have you seen the movie? Did you think it was a horror or did you think it was okay for horror? I will say it was one of those stories that's kind of lasted throughout my life. I want to say when I was about what was it, 18 years old, I went to a hotel for the very first time in my life, and walking down the hallway, it was dark, the lights were dimmed. I was just ready for something to come out from the vents to attack me. So, yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but it was a very fun horror movie to watch for me. Okay, so getting the movie stuff out of the way, going back to the original story, like I mentioned earlier, it is a part of Everything's Eventual with a collection of other short stories by Stephen King. Stephen King, in the short story, did mention that the color purple helps horror books sell more. I'm a little curious about your thoughts because my personal opinion, I think when I go to a bookstore and I see a dark purple spine cover for a book, I automatically assume it's a horror, if not fantasy. So I kind of agree with him on that one. I've read a handful of Stephen King books. I've read The Green Mile, Carrie, The Shining, and now 1408. And a pattern I've noticed in all of his books is that Stephen King tends to add a little author's note, whether that is talking about when he was writing it during the present time as he is writing, he's looking out the window and it's raining and he's at a hotel. And I don't know, that's something I really enjoy from Stephen King because I like picturing that where he's sitting in the room and he's in the process of writing this book and what his thought process is as he's doing so. So that's kind of cool. 1408 is no exception, despite it being a short story. One thing I thought that was really cool is that in the author's note, Stephen King notes that hotel rooms are naturally creepy, but in the movie, it's a scene where Mike is holding the hand recorder and he's actually saying this little as a note for himself. So it's kind of a fun little play where Stephen King's author's note says that hotel rooms are creepy, and then you have the movie where the author, which is Mike, who is recording, leaving author notes for himself, saying the rooms are naturally creepy. So 1408, if you're not familiar with it, there is an overall theme, which is 1408.
It's an evil fucking room.
Elements in the book are similar to the movie, so if you've seen the movie, you may be familiar with them. You have the paintings that he's describing in the book, a little bit more in detail compared to the movie, where he's just kind of visually looking at them and the hallucination and such and such. Then you also have the telephone call where the operator's giving him options to select from, and it's starting to turn into like this creepy, eerie kind of sound. And then you also have the element of the ending. I won't spoil the ending. If you've seen the movie, you know what happens, but read the book if you're curious to see how the book ends, because I know the movie has different alternate endings. There are some elements that were different than the movie. Again, I'm not trying to compare it to the movie, but if you've seen the movie and you enjoyed it, these are things that are different in the book. So just be aware that when you come to the book, some of this stuff won't be similar. So one of the things that did change is that in the book, Mike actually ends in good terms with the wife. The movie, it plays out differently. In the book, he ends up in good terms and they're still friends, but they're just not in contact with each other. We all know that plays a really key role in the movie to kind of move the story along. Not much in this book. There is a point in the book where Mike sees a light source and he describes it as the Australian sun. Typically, the sun is a warm, inviting, comfort kind of feeling, but in this regard, again, they're trying to emphasize how the broom is evil and how it's playing with him and that it's just trying to torture him. And a lot of people say that the Australian sun specifically is very hot, it's very bright. So rather than being a comfort, it's more like torture. So I like that it emphasizes the depth of the broom and just how evil and sinister it is in both the sense of what he's seeing when he's hallucinating and also just the feeling around him in the atmosphere. Again, because it is not similar to the movie, the ending is a little different. In the movie, if you've seen one of the endings, it's Mike escaping the room. He's back with his wife and he hears the daughter on the tape recorder. I thought that was a really cool ending for the movie. So when I read the short story and it took a different turn than that, I was disappointed in the beginning, but the ending was just as satisfying as long as you forget how the movie went and you just read the short story as is. It's a short story, it's on its own. Don't compare it to the movie. The end of the book ends similar with Mike escaping the room by setting it on fire, so that was kind of cool, but it does end differently. So rather than him going home to his wife, he goes back home and says that he'll never enjoy the sunset again because it reminds him of the Australian sun he witnessed in the room. So I found that a satisfying ending, just like the movie. Obviously, it's different, but it was just as cool because it just reminds you of how traumatized he was, and something as simple as the sunset, which is supposed to be warm and inviting and comforting, and it's supposed to be a time where you just relax. It's not going to be the same simply because he had that one bad experience in the room, and it was such a bad experience that it left a lasting impact on him. Overall, I would give this book a 3 out of 5 skulls. It was really good. It was interesting. I enjoyed getting the inner thoughts of Mike as he's going through the room and just his experiences through it. The movie, you get to visually see it, but here you get his thoughts and how he's reacting to everything. I just would have enjoyed a little bit more content. So if Stephen King went back and he decided to make a full-length novel of 1408, I think it would be a really good read. Have you read 1408, the short story? If you have, tell me what you thought in the comments. I'm curious to know if you enjoyed it just as much as you enjoyed watching the movie, or if you thought it fell flat compared to the movie, or if you haven't seen the movie, what you think about the short story, and then check out the movie and come back and tell me if it makes your thoughts of the short story any different, whether you think the short story actually was worse than you thought, or it's better, or it's just the same as the movie. If you enjoyed this book review, like this video and subscribe to my channel. That way you get notified when I upload more book reviews. As always, thanks for watching. Do you like reading? Are you writing your own book right now, or have you already published one? Check out my Patreon and talk to others just like you. Also check out my other channel, BrailleDash Reads, where you will find reviews for books I have read, and you will also find some content from the book club. The links to both will be in the description below.